7 Smartest Twists in 21st Century Thrillers. A great thriller doesn't just scare or surprise. It rewires your brain on the way out of the theater. The best twists aren't cheap gotchas. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to notice the clues you missed. From South Korean vengeance opera to Hollywood mind games, the 21st century has delivered some of the most ingenious rug pulls ever put on film. These are the twists that make you replay every scene in your head. Check the timeline and text your friends at 2 a.m. with, "You have to watch this." No random shock endings here. Each of these 7 films lays its groundwork with craft and confidence to when the reveal lands, you realize the movie was fair all along. Let's start with a revenge masterpiece that changed global cinema. Number 1, Oldboy from 2003, The Vengeance Spiral.
안녕 생일이라며. 축하한대. 삼촌 내일 맛있는 거 사줄게.
A rainy seoul night. Businessman Oh Dae-soo, drunk and belligerent, is snatched off the street and locked in a featureless private cell. No ransom demand, no explanation, only a TV that becomes his sole companion and tormentor for the next 15 years. When he's finally released, he's given new clothes, a phone, and a single mission. Find out why. Park Chan-wook's Oldboy isn't just revenge thriller. It's a hypnotic puzzle about memory, shame, and the price of idle words. Its final revelation is one of the most devastating twists in modern cinema, turning a tale of payback into a meditation on guilt, production, and cultural context. Second film in Park's acclaimed Vengeance trilogy, sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Oldboy, Lady Vengeance. Budgeted at roughly $3 million, modest even for early 2000s Korean cinema. Filmed almost entirely in Seoul and Incheon with production designer Ryu Seong-hee, creating the infamous private prison set on a single soundstage. Released during South Korea's New Wave era where directors like Bong Joon-ho and Kim Ji-woon were transforming national cinema with bold global storytelling. Park saw a look that felt both modern and mythic. Cinematographer Chung Chung-hoon used deep, contrasty shadows and wide 2.35 by 1 framing, turning cramped interiors into endless psychological corridors. Iconic sequences. The hallway fight, a 3-minute side-scrolling brawl filmed in a single take. Park rehearsed it for 3 days. Actor Choi Min-sik performed most of his own stunts, and the lateral camera movement evokes a side-scrolling video game. Revenge as a grim mechanical process. The live octopus. Choi actually ate 4 live octopi across multiple takes. The moment is both shocking and symbolic. Dae-soo consuming raw life as he re-enters a world he barely understands. The twist? Spoiler managed. Dae-soo believes he's simply a victim of random cruelty. But every breadcrumb, his hypnotic conditioning, the orchestrated chance meeting with young chef Mi-do leads to a far darker truth. As a teenager, Dae-soo casually gossiped about a tryst he glimpsed at school. The rumor exposed a taboo relationship and led to tragedy for wealthy classmate Lee Woo-jin, who has spent decades crafting an elaborate surgical revenge. The romance between Dae-soo and Mi-do? Woo-jin's final exquisite punishment. Father and daughter reunited by manipulation. It's not a cheap shock, it's a perfect inversion of the film's opening line. Even though I'm no better than a beast, don't I have the right to live? The real prison is the knowledge Dae-soo must now carry. Symbolism and motives. Mirrors and reflections. Nearly every key scene features a reflective surface hinting at dual identities and hidden truths. Television as warden. The TV both informs and controls Dae-soo. News of his wife's murder, glimpses of a world he cannot touch. Ants in dreams. Dae-soo dreams of ants crawling all over his body, a Korean metaphor for crushing loneliness. Critical and audience reaction. Won the Grand Prix at Cannes 2004, where jury president Quentin Tarantino called it the most exciting film I've seen in years. Roger Ebert awarded 4 stars, praising its ferocious beauty. Continues to rank high on Best Films of the Century list and inspired a 2013 Hollywood remake directed by Spike Lee that critics generally found unnecessary, proof of the original's singular power. Why it endures. Every clue is visible from the start. Park plays fair while letting viewers mislead themselves. Combines operatic violence with Greek tragedy inevitability. Revenge creates its own circle. Leaves you questioning the morality of both victim and villain. 9 modern action films destined for classic status. Number 2, The Prestige, 2006, the ultimate magic trick. Gas lamps flicker in the turn-of-the-century London. 2 rival magicians, Alfred Borden and Robert Angier, perform dueling illusions in smoke-choked theaters where applause sounds like thunder and obsession hangs heavier than the haze. Christopher Nolan's The Prestige isn't just about stage magic. It is a magic trick. Its structure mirrors the 3 acts Michael Caine's character explains at the start: the pledge, the turn, and the prestige. By the end, you realize the film has been performing its own sleight of hand all along. Production and creative team. Adapted from Christopher Priest's 1995 novel, screenplay by brothers Christopher and Jonathan Nolan. Shot on 35mm film with Panavision anamorphic lenses, giving a rich period-appropriate glow. Cinematographer Wally Pfister relied on practical arc lamp lighting to mimic the harsh early electric look of 1890s theaters. Score by David Julian blends eerie string harmonics with industrial percussion, echoing both magic and machinery. The film opened in October 2006 with a modest $40 million budget, but eventually grossing over $100 million worldwide, and earned Academy Award nominations for Best Cinematography and Best Art Direction. Twin obsessions. Borden, played by Christian Bale, and Angier, Hugh Jackman, begins as partners, but their rivalry escalates from friendly competition to psychological warfare. Nolan cuts non-linearly between 3 diaries, each man reading the other's words, so time itself becomes a puzzle box. Motive of doubles and reflections. Mirrors, twin canaries, dueling diaries. Repeated visual of hands and knots, foreshadowing tragedy and sacrifice. The dual twist, handled carefully. Number 1, Borden's secret life. The film quietly reveals that Alfred Borden is 2 men, identical twins sharing one identity. Nolan telegraphs it through subtle costume swaps and the daughter calling him today's daddy. A perfect fair play twist. The evidence is there if you watch closely. Number 2, Angier's deadly machine. Angier recruits inventor Nikola Tesla, David Bowie in a scene-stealing cameo, to build a teleportation device. It creates a living duplicate, each performance requiring the original Angier to drown every night so the copy can take a vow. The prestige of the trick is literal. A new man appears as the old one dies. Obsession becomes self-destruction, the true cost of art and ego. Historical texture. Tesla's real Colorado experiments with wireless electricity gave science a whiff of plausibility. Production shot in Los Angeles, London, and the Sierra Nevada mountains to create both Victorian theaters and Tesla's isolated laboratory. Critical and audience reaction. Initial reviews praised its clockwork narrative, though some audiences found the nonlinear structure challenging. Over time, it's become a fan favorite in Nolan's filmography, frequently cited on Best Twist Endings list. Film scholars note how the editing mirrors a magic act: setup, misdirection, and revelation. Roger Ebert wrote, "The Prestige is about the cost of deception, paid in lives, loves, and sanity. The ending doesn't cheat. It simply reveals what was hidden in plain sight. Why the twist works? Nolan shows rather than tells that every clue, the missing finger, the switch in temperament, is visible. Themes of identity, sacrifice, and art's moral price resonate beyond the final reveal. Turns the audience into willing conspirators. Smart takes and lists at likecine.com. Number 3, Gone Girl 2014, Marriage as a Murder Mystery.
Hey, buddy. What are you doing out here?
A quiet suburban Missouri morning. Nick Dunn comes home to find the living room in disarray and his wife, Amy, missing. There's a broken glass table, a faint trail of blood, and the beginnings of a media circus that will turn husband and wife into national obsessions. David Fincher's Gone Girl, adapted from Gillian Flynn's bestseller, is a masterclass in manipulation of characters, the audience, and even the press. Its twist doesn't just surprise, it shreds our assumptions about victimhood and villainy. Production and creative team. Screenplay by Gillian Flynn herself, ensuring the novel's razor-edge voice made it to screen. Shot by Fincher regular Jeff Cronenweth on the Red Dragon digital camera for hyper-precise detail. Fincher famously demanded dozens of takes for each setup. Budget. About $61 million, global gross over $369 million. Premiered at the 52nd New York Film Festival to raves for its icy precision. For the film's first hour, we buy the media narrative. Nick, played by Ben Affleck, is the philandering husband who probably killed his wife. The diary entries, read in Amy's voice, played by Rosamund Pike, paint her as the perfect spouse, slowly abused into fear. Then Fincher flips the table. Midway through, Amy calmly explains direct to the camera that she staged her own murder to punish Nick for infidelity. Every diary page was a forgery, every blood smear planted. The cool girl persona she performed for years was an art project of rage. Themes and visual motives. Media as predator. Fincher uses constant TV screens and scrolling news tickers to show how narrative becomes truth. Color story. Cool blues dominate until Amy's reveal, when sudden warm tones signal her reclaimed control. Mirror shots. Both Nick and Amy are repeatedly framed against reflective surfaces. Two sides of a marriage that's all performance. Performances and accolades. Rosamund Pike received an Oscar nomination for Best Actress, praised for a portrayal critics called icy, hilarious, terrifying. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross composed a score of deceptively soothing synths. Fincher asked for music that sounded like a spa waiting room that's slightly wrong. Critical and audience reaction. Rotten Tomatoes, 88% critics, 87% audience. The New Yorker called it a marriage story as written by Hitchcock. Sparked cultural debates about gender, politics, media trials, and the myth of the cool girl. Why the twist works? Fincher plays fair. Subtle hints of Amy's meticulous nature appear early. Her obsession with perfect treasure hunt clues, her precise budgeting of time and money. The reveal lands not as a cheat, but as an extension of character. Amy is a writer of her own myth, and we've been reading her script. Key takeaway? Truth isn't what happened, it's who controls the story. Number 4, Shutter Island 2010. Reality is in the real prison. A U.S. Marshal named Teddy Daniels arrives by ferry at Ashcliffe Hospital, a fortress-like asylum on a storm-battered island off the coast of Massachusetts. He's investigating the disappearance of a patient, Rachel Solando, who seems to have vanished from a locked cell. But as the wind howls and the staff stone walls, Teddy's search for truth begins to feel like a descent into madness. Martin Scorsese's Shutter Island is less a whodunit than a psychological funhouse. Its final turn forces us to question every scene that came before, proving that the most frightening prison is the mind. Production and creative team. based on Dennis Lehane's 2003 novel, screenplay by Lita Kalogridis. Shot on location in Massachusetts, including the real Medfield State Hospital for authentic mid-century asylum architecture. Cinematographer Robert Richardson, a frequent Tarantino collaborator by the way, bathed the film in muted greens and bruised grays to create a dreamlike wet noir atmosphere. Music supervised by Robbie Robertson, drawing on modern classical cues from Krzysztof Penderecki and Georgi Ligeti for an unsettling tonal score. Budgeted at $80 million, the film earned $295 million worldwide, making it one of Scorsese's biggest commercial hits. The twist. Teddy Daniels, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, believes he's a federal investigator hunting a conspiracy. Sadistic doctors, Nazi experiments, secret mind control tests. But every clue from his migraines to cryptic patient encounters points inward. In the devastating finale, Dr. Colley, played by Ben Kingsley, reveals that Teddy is actually Andrew Ladies, a patient committed after murdering his manic depressive wife who drowned their children. The elaborate investigation is a therapeutic role-play and extreme attempt to break through Andrew's delusion. Visual and symbolic foreshadowing. Storm imagery. The violent hurricane mirrors Andrew's mental chaos. Water motif. Water represents trauma, the lake where his children died, the dripping cave scenes, and the constant ocean backdrop. Repetition of 67. The mysterious 67th patient is Andrew himself. The number appears on doors and clipboards throughout. Scorsese plants these hints openly. Rewatches revealed dozens of tells, like guards subtly treating Teddy as an inmate rather than a marshal. Performances. DiCaprio delivers one of his most tormented roles, balancing bravado and fragility. Mark Ruffalo as partner Chuck Alley plays the dual role of friendly sidekick and undercover psychiatrist. Michelle Williams appears in haunting flashbacks, her spectral presence guiding the story toward its truth. Critical and audience reaction. Critics initially debated whether the ending was too telegraphed, but many now rank it among Scorsese's best late career works. Roger Ebert praised its elegant construction of dread, while The Guardian called it a grandly Gothic brain teaser. Fans still debate the film's final line. Which would be worse, to live as a monster or die as a good man? Is Andrew choosing a lobotomy out of despair or clarity? Why the twist works? It's thematically inevitable. The entire film is a study of trauma and self-deception. Scorsese scatters evidence, misplaced props, subtly shifting accents, and sudden continuity gaps, so the reveal feels like recognition rather than trickery. The last shot of the lighthouse, serene yet ominous, leaves us pondering identity and choice long after the credits. Key takeaway: the greatest mystery isn't the crime. It's whether we can face our own truth. Okay, we're halfway through our countdown of the 7 smartest twists of the 21st century. I have to ask, which movie's twist completely blew your mind the first time you saw it? And did it still hold up when you rewatched? Drop your pick in the comments and tell us if you caught any hidden clues the second time around. Number 5, Prisoners 2013, Morality in a Maze.
وقتی به اون گوز خیلی کردی ناراحت نشدی؟
وقتی ساندویچ می‌خوری
Thanksgiving in suburban Pennsylvania. 2 young girls, Anna Dover and Joy Birch, vanish while playing outside. The only clue is a battered RV seen earlier in the neighborhood. Detective Loki, Jake Gyllenhaal, questions the driver, Alex Jones, Paul Dano, but with no evidence, he's released. For Keller Dover, played by Hugh Jackman, a father desperate for answers, the release is unbearable. Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners isn't just a kidnapping thriller. It's a slow burn study of how far a parent will go when justice feels out of reach. The film's layered twist shows that evil can hide in plain sight, sometimes behind the face of righteousness. Production and creative team. Screenplay by Aaron Kozłowski, praised for its moral complexity. Cinematography by Roger Deakins, whose rain-soaked palette and long shadows earned an Oscar nomination. Shot largely in Georgia, standing in for small-town Pennsylvania to capture damp late autumn gloom. Budget about $46 million, worldwide gross near $122 million, turning Villeneuve into a household name and paving the way for Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. Deakins relied on natural light and overcast skies, using muted browns and grays to create a visual metaphor. Morality is never black and white. The moral spiral. When police release Alex for lack of evidence, Keller abducts him and chains him in an abandoned apartment building, trying to force a confession. His friend Franklin Birch reluctantly helps, torn between loyalty and conscience. Scenes of Keller's improvised torture, scalding showers, brutal beatings play out in near silence. The audience is forced to question who the real prisoner is, the suspect, the father, or the conscience of everyone involved. The twist? The girl's abduction turns out to be part of a decades-long campaign by an older couple, Holly and her late husband, who wage a war on God by kidnapping children to make parents lose faith. Alex was once one of their victims, traumatized into a near childlike state, explaining his cryptic behavior. Detective Loki pieces the puzzle together only after a labyrinth of false leads, including a self-flagellating suspect and a maze tattoo motif that literally and figuratively represents the case. Performances. Hugh Jackman delivers a career best turn, channeling grief into barely contained fury. Jake Gyllenhaal, with his blinking tick and quiet intensity, plays Loki as a man haunted by every unsolved case. Melissa Leo is chilling as Holly, whose calm domesticity makes pure malice. Visual and thematic motifs. The maze symbol, found on corpses, drawings, and pendants representing moral confusion and the literal underground maze where joy is hidden. Rain and darkness. Constant drizzle blurs time and place, reinforcing the story's moral murk. Sound design. Subdued ambient noise keeps tension high. Sudden silences make every creak ominous. Critical and audience reaction. Rotten Tomatoes, 81% critics, 87% audience. Unusually high for a 2.5-hour procedural. Many critics compared it to Seven for its bleak atmosphere and ethical ambiguity. Nominated for Best Cinematography at the Oscars, Deakins' work is often cited as among his finest. Why the twist works? Villeneuve doesn't rely on a single gotcha moment. Instead, the truth emerges piece by piece, making the final reveal feel inevitable. The film leaves Keller's fate ambiguous. Loki hears faint whistle blows in the closing seconds, but the screen cuts to black before rescue, forcing viewers to decide whether hope survives. Key takeaway: sometimes the hardest cell to escape is the one built by your own choices. Number 6, The Others, 2001. The House That Hides the Living. A sprawling mansion on the British island of Jersey, 1945. Grace Stewart, played by Nicole Kidman, lives in near total darkness with her 2 young children, Anne and Nicholas, who suffer from a rare photosensitivity. Sunlight could kill them. Servants come and go mysteriously. Doors lock by themselves, and faint whispers haunt the halls. Alejandro Amenabar's The Others is a gothic ghost story that quietly becomes something far more haunting. Its final revelation makes you reconsider every shadow and every whisper you've heard since the opening frame. Production and creative team. Written and directed by Spanish filmmaker Alejandro Amenabar, who also composed the minimalist eerie score. Shot in Spain, Cantabria, and Madrid, though set on the Channel Islands to capture that war-torn, foggy isolation. Budget, about $17 million, box office $209 million worldwide, making it one of the highest grossing Spanish productions ever. Nobody released 2 months before the others-like twist of The Sixth Sense would have overshadowed lesser films, but critics praised it for standing on its own. Amenabar wanted a candlelit realism. So, cinematographer Javier Aguirre Zarobe used heavy diffusion and natural flame light, creating a sense that the walls themselves breathe. The twist. For most of the film, we assume Grace and her children are being haunted by unseen spirits, and even claims to see a mysterious boy named Victor. But in the climatic seance, we learn the truth. Grace, Anne, and Nicholas are already dead. They died years earlier. Grace, in a fit of despair, smothered the children and took her own life during the war. The intruders are the living owners of the house, terrified by these stubborn spirits. Visual and symbolic foreshadowing. Curtains and light. The constant shrouding of windows is not just for the children's illness. It hides the truth that daylight no longer matters. Locked doors. Grace's obsession with keeping doors closed reflects her unconscious desire to keep reality out. Fog and silence. The omnipresent mist suggests limbo. The world of the living is always just out of reach. Performances. Nicole Kidman delivers a career highlight, balancing brittle control and simmering grief. She earned a Golden Globe nomination. Child actors Alakina Mann and James Bentley bring an unsettling maturity that makes the final confession heartbreaking. Critical and audience reaction. Rotten Tomatoes 84% critics and 83% for audience. Roger Ebert lauded its old-fashioned elegance, calling it proof that atmosphere can be scarier than gore. Many viewers compare its twists favorably with The Sixth Sense, noting that Amenabar plants every clue, yet the reveal still shocks. Why the twist works? From the first frame, we are invited to share Grace's limited perspective. We never see the world beyond the fog. Amenabar's deliberate pacing lulls us into her belief system, so the reversal feels both surprising and inevitable. The final image, Grace and the children standing defiantly as a living family flees, and acceptance. Key takeaway? Sometimes the ghosts are the ones telling the story. Number 7, The Invisible Guest, Contratiempo, Truth in a Locked Room.
Laura, ayuda! Ayuda!
A sleek Madrid hotel room turned crime scene. Businessman Adrian Doria awakens beside the corpse of his lover, Laura. The door bolted from the inside. The police say it's an open and shut murder. Adrian insists he's innocent and hires the formidable defense attorney Virginia Goodman, who promises to break the case if he tells her everything. Oriol Paulo's The Invisible Guest is a Spanish thriller that plays like a high-speed chess match. It constantly reshuffles what you think you know, leading to a final reveal that feels both shocking and inevitable. Production and creative team. Written and directed by Oriol Paulo, part of a wave of Spanish suspense cinema gaining international acclaim. Budget reportedly under 4 million euros, a tight figure for a film with multiple timelines and locations. Shot in Barcelona and snowy rural Segovia to contrast sleek urban wealth with isolated mountain roads. Released in Spain in 2016 but became a global sleeper hit, especially in China and India, grossing over $30 million worldwide, which is extraordinary for a Spanish-language thriller. The narrative game. The story unfolds as a conversation in a single apartment, Adrian recounting the events that led to Laura's death. Each retelling peels back another layer, a hidden car accident, blackmail, a mysterious witness. Flashbacks contradict each other, making the viewer complicit in sorting truth from lie. Oriol Paulo structures it like a legal disposition crossed with a magic trick. Every question from Virginia steers Adrian closer to an unseen trap. The twist. After an hour of cat and mouse revelations, Virginia delivers her final question and removes her mask. She is not Virginia Goodman at all. She is Elvira Garrido, the grieving mother of the young man killed in Adrian and Laura's secret hit and run. The entire defense strategy session was a ruse to make Adrian confess. Adrian realizes too late that he has given a full, detailed confession that the real Virginia Goodman listening from outside can now present to the police. Visual and thematic motives. Mirrors and glass. Reflections dominate the set, reinforcing duplicity and fractured truth. Snowy landscape. The whiteout car accident setting symbolizes moral blindness, secrets buried beneath a pristine surface. Framed pictures. Shots linger on family photographs in the Garrido home, silent witnesses to Adrian's crime. Performances. Mario Casas plays Adrian with slippery charm, allowing sympathy and suspicion to trade places scene by scene. Anna Fagner as the faux attorney commands the screen. Her calm persistence turns the interrogation into psychological theater. Critical and audience reaction. Domestic critics admired its Hitchcockian precision, but the film's biggest success came internationally. In China, it became a word-of-mouth phenomenon, prompting an official Mandarin language remake, The Invisible Witness 2019. Indian cinema produced multiple adaptations, including the acclaimed Hindi film Badla from 2019, starring Amitabh Bachchan and Taapsee Pannu. Reviewers praised its clockwork plotting, with The Hollywood Reporter calling it a Rubik's Cube of guilt and deception. Why the twist works. The film invites the audience to be detective and judge, then reveals we were the ones on trial. Every contradiction in Adrian's story is a breadcrumb. Every probing question from Virginia is a silent cross-examination. The final unmasking is satisfying because it doesn't cheat. Elvira simply outplays both Adrian and the viewer. Key takeaway? The cleverest trap is the one you build yourself. And there you have it, 7 thrillers that prove a great twist isn't about shocking you once. It's about making you re-experience the whole movie in your head. From the operatic tragedy of Oldboy to the icy mind games of The Invisible Guest, these films reward careful watching and maybe even a second or third viewing. What did we miss? Maybe you think The Sixth Sense still sets the gold standard, or perhaps Parasite's Hidden Basement belongs on the list. Tell us which film you'd nominate for the smartest twist of the century and why. If you enjoyed unraveling these cinematic puzzles, cue up our deep dives on 7 best scenes from terrible blockbusters and 9 modern action movies that will be classics for more storytelling magic. Remember, the best thrillers don't just fool you once. They keep whispering new secrets every time you press play. Until next time, keep watching closely because, as the Prestige warns us, are you watching closely?